Hello, I'm Nomfanelo Malloy, and welcome to the Top 40 Movie Soundtracks. This is a part four of this installment. If you haven't checked out already, you could check out the previous installments, which are already available. So, here I'll be talking about entries from 10 to number one. Let's get to it. Number 10. Shaft by Isaac Hayes. So yeah, like I grew up watching a lot of black exploitation movies, and Shaft was one of them, obviously. And yeah, the movie itself is great. I recently bought that movie through the Criterion collection, which I do recommend if you guys don't have it already yet on Blu-ray. But yeah, like it clearly represents the times with the music. You know, Isaac Hayes did a fantastic job, and the theme song is always the ones I always gravitate towards because I loved how it's used during the opening credits to introduce our character John Shaft. You know, being a cool badass private investigator, and then also too in the end credits when he is walking away after he did the job. So it's fantastic. Please check it out. All right. Right on. Number nine, Kill Bill Volume 1 by RZA and various artists. So, yeah, Quentin Tarantino does a great job like curating the soundtracks like for his movies because usually he'll use a lot of like the jukebox, you could say, music. Well, at times like he'll do original stuff, particularly when he did with Django and other works. But yeah, I loved how like with the selection he did here, and also too with RZA with the score, like is great. It really fits with the movie. The movie itself is a classic, and all that stuff. Please check it out if you haven't already. Songs that stood out: the "Bang Bang," "My Baby Shot Me Down" by Nancy Sinatra during the opening credits. That one was used beautifully well, like after the bride gets shot, and the battle without honor and humanity, if that's correct. When that's used when the bride is in Japan, that yeah, was fantastic and loved. Yeah, like if you remember the trailer for that one, I think was a teaser trailer that was used beautifully with that. But yeah, and as a spoiler alert, this is not the only entry from Quentin Tarantino movie that's in this list. I'm not going to say which one yet, but yeah, please check out Kill Bill Volume One. Number eight, The Parent Trap, 1998, by various artists. So, yeah, growing up, I really loved this movie. It's a classic in my opinion. Lindsay Lohan does a great job acting, as long as along with the rest of the cast here. And Nancy Myers, I would say one of my favorite Nancy Myers movies. Um, the music itself is great because you had the mix of the classic songs such as Love by Nat King Cole, and also too This Will Be an Everlasting Love by Natalie Cole's nice father and daughter represented in this album. And then of course you had songs from the 90s like There She Goes, that's great. And also too you have a Beatles, Here Comes the Song, which for me was kind of an intro to the Beatles, yeah, at that time. But yeah, I loved the variety of in this album, and yeah, check it out if you haven't already. Number seven, Inception by Hans Zimmer. So yeah, Hans Zimmer, I would say, is one of the greats out there for composers. It was tricky to decide which Hans Zimmer album to choose, and I ultimately went with this one because for me it's always the ones that stood out to me with Inception. Because yeah, watching that movie for the first time when it came out in IMAX was intense, and I just remember um, not being able to fall asleep afterwards, which is an interesting experience. But the music itself, is great. Really, really gets you into like the mood and the world of the film, and the way that it uses the Edith Piaf song is fantastic, like for the kick, and I guess it was a nice nudge that he had Marion Cotillard, who played Edith Piaf in a biopic prior, act in this movie, so that was like icing on the cake. But yeah, the movie itself is fantastic. Hans Zimmer is fantastic. Number six, Oppenheimer by Ludwig Göransson. So yeah, Ludwig Göransson, I would say, is in the conversation for me as one of the greatest composers, because he is, I would say, very experimental, like with his sound and like how he uses like variety of instruments and all that stuff. Because his work in season one Mandalorian was great, and also too with Tenet, which was his first collaboration with Christopher Nolan. But for me, the album that stands out amongst his work is obviously Oppenheimer. Now, it might be some recency bias and all that stuff, but I always go back to this album, and yeah, no surprise, it won the Oscar. Was well deserved. It won multiple Oscars with the film itself, but yeah, well deserved all around. Um, the themes that is used to represent Oppenheimer and Strauss is used brilliantly. And I know that like "Can You Hear the Music?" of course is a standout song for obvious reasons, but for me, Fusion recently when I'm re-listening to that, like I just loved the direction it goes to really illustrate Strauss's character. So yeah, like check out this album and check out the movie if you haven't already. Number five, Space Jam by various artists. So yeah, grew up when I grew up. Of course, Space Jam, you know, was the movie to watch, like in the '90s, of course, because it had the combination of the Looney Tunes and Michael Jordan and NBA, and of course, like for me, like as a '90s girl, like watching NBA's like at that time with Michael Jordan and co, like was the golden age, like for me, like the staples. And I think that's why too, just why this movie kind of sticks with me. And with the album itself, like it's great representing the music at the time with the variety it has. And I liked how it's not just a feel good soundtrack, but also to an inspirational soundtrack. Because yeah, Fly Like an Eagle by Seal, which I didn't know was a cover at the time, but yeah, learning was cover. But regardless, like really love listening to that song. And also too, the titular song is a nice, fun, catchy beat to dance to. And with I Believe I Can Fly, yeah, that's very inspirational and all that stuff. It's kind of hard to listen to that now, given, what has happened with R. Kelly and all that stuff, which I will not reiterate because I'm sure you guys know what happened with that. But regardless, yeah, like the album is dope. The music is dope. Number four, Beverly Hills Cop by various artists. So I will be talking about this movie for a movies I love episode. So I won't go too deep into that. But the album itself is fantastic. The score by Faltermeyer, classic. I would say one of my favorite scores by Faltermeyer, especially from that time. And yeah, the songs are catchy because we have Patti LaBelle with two songs. I liked "Stir It Up." That one's nice. And "The Heat is On." That's played during opening credits. That one really gets you in the mood. On the scene. Da, 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 da. And of course, we have the Pointer Sisters of Neutron Dance, and that one's catchy. And the video for that one is cute, where they're in the movie theater watching the movie, and all that stuff is cute. So yeah, really did get Beverly Hills Cop, and stay tuned for my movies I love video on that movie. Number three, Jackie Brown by various artists. So I would say for me, out of like the albums from Quentin Tarantino's movies, for me this one is a staple. I really love Jackie Brown. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. I'll probably talk about that movie in the future, maybe for my podcast. So I don't want to go too deep into the movie itself, but the album itself is fantastic, very soulful. Love the combo of like the more classic R&B soul songs across 110th Street. I love the use of it in both the opening and the closing credits. Number two, Ocean's 11 by David Holmes. Yeah, this movie. Gee, I have so many memories with this movie because I first saw this movie in theaters during a classmate's birthday party at the time, and I've always loved this movie. It has a lot of cool vibes with a bunch of men led by George Clooney, Brad Pitt, robbing a casino, and the music is a piece to that puzzle. And David Holmes did a fantastic job with the score because it really made it so cool with the pieces he composed, while also too adding some other tracks as well too, like Claire de Lune that's played when the team is done the heist is cool, and this 69 Police of that song is great during the end credits. Always love that one. And yeah, I always like go back to this album, like just whenever I want to get into that feeling like, oh, I want to be cool, just like have a good time, like that vibe to it as well too. So, and also too, Elvis has a song in this one for a little less conversation. That was like, I would say, my introduction to Elvis Presley from my earliest recollection, and yeah, it's just fantastic all around. This is what it sounds like when the doves cry. Number one, Purple Rain by Prince and the Revolution. So yeah, like coming up with the number one movie soundtrack, in my opinion, was fairly easy, like with Prince, because yeah, like I kind of grew up listening to Prince's music. I kind of listened to his music as I was growing up, like in my teens, as opposed to like when I was a kid and all that stuff. But yeah, regardless, like Purple Rain is a classic. Really, Prince and Co do a great job, like with the music all around, and like really loved like the lyrics. It's really significant and all that. So particularly with the Purple Rain one, and When Doves Cry, and yeah, just love that it's in a way it's a classic rock album, and just can't complain because I love how it's both fun, energetic when it needs to be, but then also too quite it's emotional at times. So yeah, it was an easy decision with Purple Rain being the number one movie soundtrack, in my opinion. So that pretty much concludes this video and this series. So the albums mentioned here will be in the description that are available on YouTube or YouTube Music. But I would love to know what are your thoughts on the list? What are your favorite movie soundtracks of all time? Let me know in the comment section. So you can find my socials in the description, and also to if you want to support me on Buy Me a Coffee, you could do so. The link in the description. And I want to say thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I hope to catch you on the next one.